At some point, Dennis, he would enroll in the local community college. I mean, he was smart because he went to like Butler County Community College in El Dorado, and he earned an associate's degree in electrical engineering technology. So it seems like he wasn't dumb, you know what I'm saying? During this time, he was also continuing to act on his sexual fetishes of voyeurism, autoerotic asphyxiation, and cross-dressing, but like low-key, no one knew. It was said that he would also spy on female neighbors while dressed in women's clothing and then would masturbate with ropes or other bindings around his arms and his neck. Yeah, he was a little extreme, huh? He also engaged in what's known as zoo sadism. It's bad. It's the torture and killing of small animals, like dogs and cats. Yeah. So he would do that. He would strangle and hang animal victims. Ugh, this is like the worst of the worst. Dennis would later say that he was obsessed with pornography. Like in his free time, if he wasn't killing animals or peeking on the neighbors, he was looking at porn. And he even had like a special nickname for his penis. Yeah. He named his penis Sparky. Sparky. And whenever he would get aroused, he would call it Big Sparky Time. So there's that. Sparky. All right. All right. There was debate over how others saw him. Some described him as well-mannered, polite, and normal. And others said that he was obsessive and extremely strict. So it was I don't know. He was apparently known to bully single women, and he killed a neighbor's dog for no reason during his time as a dog catcher, because he was a dog catcher for a little bit. I think it's safe to assume he just really liked control and power. In 1973, Dennis was working for that aviation company, and then he got let go, and this event seemed to give Dennis a lot of free time. It was said that this thrust him deeper into his violent fantasy life. With too much free time, you know what they say, the devil's got work for idle hands, and boy, he had some idle hands. I guess he started to crave knowing what it would be like to act on his sadistic impulses. I don't know, you guys. He must have hid this so well from his family. I mean, I watched interviews and stuff, and the kids were yeah, he did hide it really well. But it's I don't know why. I'm not trying to say I don't believe them or anything, but if you're married to someone, how do you not see little glimpses of he's fucked up? Something ain't right, I don't know. Just scary to think you can marry someone and they could be this fucking bimbo. So Dennis began to quote unquote troll women, which meant he was casing neighborhoods and school campuses where he would find a prospect, stalk them, and then develop an elaborate fantasy of bondage, sex, and murder around them. So Dennis had his thing. I mean, you'll see as we get into all of the different murders that he did. He had his thing. He would routinely bind, torture, and strangle his victims. And most of them, majority of them, were women. He had, I guess, a crime kit. And in this kit, it was a gun. There were knives, hoods, cords, tape, plastic bags, gloves, and various tools that he would use to break into people's houses. And again, I mean, I think it's obvious, but he really put a lot of thought into this. When he would arrive at victims' houses, he would cut the phone lines and either just knock on their door or break into their homes. He would often hold his victims up at gunpoint and just he would force them to obey. He would often lie to the victims, telling them that he was a quote-unquote wanted man who was on the run. Sometimes he would leave evidence at the scene, like semen, but at the time, it was unclear what kind of sexual acts were involved in his killings. And, there was no DNA testing or anything like that yet, so the semen, they're there's semen. Too bad we can't do anything with it. And then in some of his later murders, he would transport the body from the scene of the crimes. The Oteros were a Latin family who like had just moved into Dennis's neighborhood. And the family comprised of Jose Otero, who's 38, his wife, Julie, she was 33, and then they had 5 children, including Josephine, who was 11, and Joey, who was 9. Now, Dennis, he was watching them for a little bit before deciding, like, to, murder them. Okay, great. Before the murders even took place, Dennis stalked Julie and Josephine for weeks to, like, learn their daily routines, what they were doing each day, where they were going, when they would come home, when no one was home. All of that. Yeah. So once he like followed them for a while, figuring out what their routine was, he devised a plan to like surprise Julie and Josephine at their home. On the morning of January 15th, 1973 at 8:20 in the morning, Dennis, he broke into the Otero, their home, but he was surprised because he saw that Mr. Otero and Joey were at the home, but the other 3 kids, they were at school. And like normally they weren't going to be there. He had been following them. This was not their routine. So he was like, what the fuck are these people doing here? But it didn't matter. He went ahead with the crime anyway. Dennis started off by telling the 4 Oteros that he was a, quote, wanted man, and then led them into the bedroom at gunpoint, where he tied them all up with rope that he had prepared. Joseph and Joey were put on the floor, while Julie and Josie were on the bed. Dennis restrained the wrists and the feet of the parents. Joseph's head was covered with a plastic bag, which he bound with ropes. But Joseph, I guess, ended up chewing a hole through the bag. So he was kind of able to, like, get out of the fucking bag. So he's able to, like, chew a hole through it. And he's, like, gasping for air. And unfortunately, like, Dennis realizes this. So he gets another bag and he puts it over his head, which caused Joseph to like slowly suffocate to death. I know. Dennis tried strangling Julie. Okay, so he strangles her and then he thinks like she's dead, but she's not dead. She wakes up and she's like screaming, she's yelling, she's trying to get away. And then she starts begging with Dennis to like, please, like, let her son, Joey, go, let him go. Dennis, not there. Just like, he's not there, okay? Because he just proceeds to strangle her to death with a rope in front of the freaking kids. Once both parents were dead, he used a plastic bag stuffed with 2 T-shirts to suffocate Joey. And it was said, like, he just watched him die slowly. Like, ugh. Next, Dennis led Josie into the basement where he hanged her with a noose from a pipe. I'm so sorry. I know. The police, they found evidence of semen near Josie's partially clothed body. The bodies were ultimately discovered by the 3 older kids who had been at school during the time of the murders. It's so sad. No. I was going to say, could you imagine? No, couldn't imagine.